Welcome to Unit 4 and the end of our first semester. We're going to do integers and graphing today. 6U4.C5, that does say C5, .L1. Take it away, me. Thanks, me. So we're going to do integers and graphing, and what I put here is graphing integers. By the end of this, you will be able to, I can identify and graph integers. Please find a better way to spell the word identify. Just don't judge while you're looking. That's not nice. So by the end of this, you should be able to write the loss of 8 minutes as an integer and graph these 5 points on a number line. Here we go. I know you're asking yourself, what is an integer, Mr. Romanovich? Why are we talking about this? So what we need to know about integers are they are all whole numbers and their opposites. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, let's just draw a simple number line. And if we're going to do number lines, we're going to have a straight edge. So here's my straight edge. Get my number line on here. Nice straight line, somewhat. And because number lines go off into infinity, we add a couple arrows at the end. Here's my 0. And what you're aware of is, let me wipe this off real quick, is your number line has always started here and gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's been your number line forever and a day. Now what we're doing is we're going to open up the second half of the number line, which is that other side. So then we have these numbers, and what we know about these numbers is that they are the opposites of their counterparts on the whole number side and the positive side, So the opposite of 1 then is -1. The opposite of 2, -2. The opposite of 3, -3. The opposite of 4, -4. The 1, 2, 3, 4. The opposite of 5, I'm going to write it on top because I'm running out of room, -5. The opposite of 6, -6. So now we have all the whole numbers and their opposites, all the positives and the negatives. For integers, though, what you need to remember, though, is this, is that integers do not involve things like decimals or fractions. So when we're talking about integers, we will not do anything with either of these. Integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So you've worked with integers for your entire life. So you've always had situations where there were integers involved. You just didn't call them that. So ideas of temperature when we're like below 0, or any sort of gain or loss of anything. Anything where there's movement that would go above or below 0. So if you were on a boat and you're at sea level, you're at 0. If you get out the boat and you're swimming in the lake, you're going down below sea level, which goes, so you're going to negative distance there. If you're on a plane and you're on the ground, you're at the ground at 0, and then when you take off, as you climb into the air, you're going into positive numbers then, stuff like that. And what we know about that is these real-world situations can be represented with integers. So you see something like 10 degrees below 0, right? 10 degrees below 0. We know that because of where we live. We know that's -10. Or a gain of 6 pounds. We know what that is because we just did that over the past weekend. We know that's a +6 because we ate so much turkey and could not put the pie away before we finished it. Or, 4 inches of rain above normal. We know what that is too. That is a 4. There's our number. There's our whole number. And we're going to say it's a +4, and then what you can see is that kind of the theme here, is you probably saw it already, is that there's a key word in each one of these that would indicate to us positive or negative. And the first key word is, or the third key word I would say, is above. If it's above normal, above means positive. Here's a gain of 6 pounds. So a gain of 6 pounds would indicate a plus or a positive. That is a positive number. 10 degrees below 0, if we're saying below 0, then it's negative. And all of these, for understanding purposes, can be represented on a number line. And that's where the graphing portion comes in. So when you make your graphs, like I said, straight edge, couple arrows, and it has to be labeled. And when we say labeled, and by we I mean me, you have to have your points on the graph. Okay? So there's my straight edge line, there's my arrows, and my points on my graph. If I'm going to do -10, probably a little bigger than I wanted to do, I'm going to add 0 here because we're just starting out. So I know that my number line going to the right is positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10, there's 1. Then going to the left, it's the opposites. Going like this. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10, -10. And we know they're opposite, and this is something we'll talk about in lesson 2, because they are the same distance from 0. That's 10 steps, and that's 10 steps, just in different directions. Now, something you should realize now, 0 is not a starting point. It's only a changing point from where we go from negative to positive. The reality is this number line goes increasing to the left, from left to right, from negative infinity often to positive infinity. It's a little big, but something that you'll start to understand the more we do this. So now let's graph +6 here. Actually, what we'll do is we'll put +6 right on this number line. Oh, I forgot to put my dot. That's terrible. Here's my -10. There's where -10 is on the number line. Let's graph +6. So then I go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's +6, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then here's +4. We're going to do +4 a different way. Mostly because we don't have to do these horizontally. We can also do them vertically. So let's do a vertical one. I have my straight edge. I have my line. There we go. Put my 2 arrows on this. Here's my 0. Now when we do them vertically, you've got to think, in my mind, it's one thing, thermometer. So when I think of a thermometer and here's 0, I know my positives are going up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put 5 on there. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. We know that's there. But just for clarity, let's look at this too. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is -1, -2, -3, -4. Real world examples. Traveling. That's a horizontal number line. Think of a football field. You're going positive yardage or negative yardage. Real world example for a horizontal one. Thermometers, up and down. Elevations, so above or below sea level. Things like that. If you think of a building, if you're thinking of a building, all the floors above ground are positive. Then all the floors below ground, all those basement levels, you could think of it as -1, -2, -3, -4. Wow, we're here already. So can you hit the target? Could you create the integer for, or not create, could you represent the integer for a loss of 8 minutes? When I wrote it, I thought, oh, that makes sense. But then I thought, how do we lose 8 minutes? So, sorry. But loss of 8 minutes, can you write that as an integer? And could you graph these 5 points, make a number line, straight edge, arrows, 0, label, you can't leave yet. Then, here's the third thing. This was the secret mission. Can you bring in a real world integer example? Something like this, that's not an integer yet. Bring in a real world integer example. If you find one, write it down. If you see one, make sure if it's on TV, just pause it. The weather's a great place to get these. Pause it, get that integer down, write it on your paper, put it with your notes, bring it in tomorrow, and we'll do something with it. Okay? If you have any questions, you can ask me. You can rewatch this video. You can ask Mr. McKenzie. You can ask Mrs. King. You can ask Mrs. Benoit if you wanted to, because she's in 7th grade. She teaches this too. All right. Good luck.